Hello, and welcome. These are my 3 favorite lessons to bring into the classroom if I'm trying to get a little Halloweeny without talking about anything that has to do with Halloween. All right, so let's jump right into it. This is really for that teacher who, for one reason or another, really can't talk about Halloween in their classroom. Either their students can't celebrate it, their school doesn't celebrate it, whatever the reason is. These are the 3 lessons for you based on wonderful stories. All right, so the first things first, I like to get my students warmed up. Sometimes that's with the scarf dance. You can go ahead and check out the rest of my YouTube channel for some fun Halloween, but not Halloween inspired scarf dances. And then I jump right into getting my students going over the solfege and the hand signs that they will need for the rest of the class. All right, you can see that at the beginning, I just had them going in order, mi, sol, la, a little higher each time, then we mix them up. All right, a great little challenge for students. They love to come up to the smartboard, tap, 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 so on and so forth. Then we start our story. It's called One Dark Night. Again, a little creepy, but it's really not creepy. This is a story for kindergartners through 2nd graders. Sweet, it's simple, it's easy. As always, we're making sure that we are supporting these wonderful authors that make these stories that are so easy to bring into our classroom. So make sure you're either buying this story, you're going to your local library, you're borrowing it, so on and so forth. You're going to read the first couple pages, and then you're going to go ahead and give your students a steady beat challenge. In a wee little house. It's simple, it's easy, it's effective. It's also a great time to give your students a big contrast between quiet, piano, and then forte, because the next one that we're going to talk about is not a wee little mouse and a wee little mole. It is actually the bear in a big giant lair, changing the pitch of your voice, changing the texture, changing those dynamics 100%. You read a little bit more, then you go over some taught and teach you rhythms. Again, we want to make sure this is engaging and effective for our students, so can they go ahead and drag the objects, the animals, to the one that makes the most sense. All right, if we're talking about mouse, can you have your students, if you have a smartboard, they're tapping and dragging. If you don't have a smartboard, maybe you have a projector, they're going over to computer and they are grabbing and dragging. Mouse versus acorn versus mushroom, etc., etc. You read a little bit more of the story. Again, it's sweet, it's simple. Your students, the second that you start telling them a story, will be that much more engaged. Then you go through, all right, drag the sentence to the pattern that fits best. He tramped and he paced with a rich, meaty taste. Which one's gonna go where? What I love about all these things is your students can only touch what you want them to touch, right? So with a rich, meaty taste, I put in the wrong one, don't judge me. With a rich, meaty taste versus he tramped and he paced. All right, you read a little bit more, drag the rhythms to the right part. Squish, squash, a squish. How are we gonna do our tas and our TTs there? Then we're gonna need our solfege again and a quarter rest. Why not bring the quarter rest into this, all right? Big and loud rest, quiet and small rest. Which one do you hear? Now this is to set your students up for a fun, engaging movement break. So far in this one lesson, they've been singing, they've been doing rhythm analysis, they've now gotten an introduction to the quarter rest. Why not also get them moving? All right, so you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna tap your acorn friend right here, you're gonna take a listen, and then you're going to have your students decide, should they be moving like a bear or like a mouse? The 2 characters from our story. They take a listen. And keep it simple. But there's a couple different ones. Each time they'll sing, they'll listen to the different songs, they'll move with the way that they think that they hear. It's a great chance to talk about dynamics, tempo, articulation, the whole 9 yards, or keep it small and simple. Does it sound like a bear or does it sound like a mouse? Now what's great about this book is throughout the entire thing we've been comparing and contrasting these 2 little animals, the mouse and the mole, versus the big giant bear. There's so many different times to talk about how they're so opposite, but then at the very end something is coming, something sounds tough. Mouse and mole are now being approached by bear. You go ahead, you have your students add in the solfege. You have them listen for if they hear a TT or a ta, something is coming. Something sounds tough. Make this part a little creepy. Make this part a little spooky. Something is coming. And we hope it's friendly, and at the end you'll have to find out for yourself. But before the end, we might as well talk about some of the things that we felt throughout this entire lesson. There was piano, there was forte. Put it in the chants. In a wee little house in a wee little hole lived a wee, so on and so forth, and changing it up and making it a little tougher. Can they go from loud to quiet, stay quiet, and then go loud? That is the first one. Let's go ahead and jump to the second lesson plan, Creepy Carrots. This is such a random book, and it's so fun and so easy to bring some creepy vibes in without bringing in any monsters or things like that. Unless you count vegetables monsters. For the next part of the story, we will need some rhythms. They will need some tas, some titis, and some tika-tikas. This is definitely for more like 2nd, 3rd grade, 4th grade, right? Drag the rhythms to the vegetable that makes the most sense, right? So for a beat, and again, same thing, they can only touch the rhythms that you want them to touch. Now, what's great about this lesson is it also comes with a digital worksheet where your students can do this on their own, or it comes with a printable worksheet if your students don't have Chromebooks. So you take a little time first to go through some rhythms because they will need it at the beginning. You keep on reading this story about this little rabbit who loves to eat carrots. He loves them all the time. And then suddenly the carrots start to act a little strange. Then you take the time to go through some treble clef letters. Again, so easy, so effective, and definitely for some older students. Go over some tricks. These are the ones I use. Every good boy does fine. On the line, space equals face. Use whatever trick you want, because if you grab this lesson, which I'll tell you a little bit more about how you can get all 3 of these lessons for a free month in just a little, but you can also edit this. So if every good boy does fine is not your thing, go ahead and change that for yourself. Now, the part of this that's actually a little tough is we're gonna need more than just the ones that we know from treble clef. They know all of these letters based on their tricks, but we actually will also need low T, low La, and low Sol. Or because we're using treble clef, B, A, and G. All right, now you might know some of these based on sight, but we're gonna go over the exact same tricks that we used here to figure out these ledger lines. Because yes, what is more scary in this lesson than talking about ledger lines with our students? All right, but what I love about this is it's fun, it's easy, and I use a ton of visuals, especially animation, so make sure you're always in present mode to walk your students through how to figure out these treble clef ledger lines. Using the same tricks, every good boy does fine on the line, space equals face, by first figuring out what they know and then piecing together what they don't. And trust me, it's a lot simpler than watching your students try to figure out the alphabet backwards and going E, D, C, skip all that, spell face, and so on and so forth. All right, again, making sure that this is simple and easy for them to use and visualize it, because this is something that to me takes a lot of visualization. All right, you'll need the A and the B for the rest of the story, just those 2. So might as well have them start by spelling out a word that for a rabbit is probably very relevant, and then putting in a creepy song. Creepy carrots all around. This can be played with boom whackers. This can be played with bells. This can just be sung, and then going through those octaves. And we might as well also give them an experience counting the rhythms if you've already been working on that. Or maybe this is a great time to use as a small introductions. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Creepy carrots low, creepy carrots high. And then putting those 2 sections together, while still throughout this whole thing, you're re-engaging them with the story, and now you can also take a second and re-engage them with some movement breaks. Because at this point, even if they're playing, say you're using orphan instruments, boom whackers, bells, whatever it is, they're still doing a lot of sitting. Now again, already in this lesson, you've got them going over ta, titi, and tika-tika rhythms. You've got them going over treble clef letters, including the treble clef ledger lines, but also get them up and moving in a simple and fun way. I have 2 of these guys that you can choose from, either level 1 or level 2 in the Hall of the Mountain King. Again, still creepy, but not Halloween feel, that you can choose from. That's right in the middle of the story. Gives your students up and moving, and then they're right back to adding in those treble clef letters and playing through an immense, wonderful song that will get your students feeling this minor, slightly creepy music to really celebrate this time of the year in any way that we can. And then at the end, why not make this into more of a movement break? Get your students up, because when they see the C, they stand. When they see the A, they bend. And when they see an E, they stand up on their tiptoes. You're going to split them into different groups to try them at the same time to also get a little bit of a harmony practice in this. I love this lesson. This is just such a fun lesson. Your students will be moving. Your students will be experiencing music in this minor, fun way while also moving, which makes singing even easier. And then maybe at the end, you are brave enough to attempt to split them into 3. and then maybe end with the one that you didn't do yet. So maybe start with level 1 and then head to level 2. All right, and for our last one, this is the story, The Gruffalo. We know it, we love it. Here's the solfege that you're gonna review with your students. Again, getting them first from do, mi, sol, la, and then mixing them up to get ready for the Gruffalo song. So adding those solfege pitches in. But if you can't tell, a lot of these are paired into threes. Now, I don't talk about it at the very beginning of my lesson, but this lesson is really all about triplets. First, I just have them sing it. And then later on, we'll really get them understanding where the triplets are. Let me show you. Start the story, get them chanting, "Where are you going to, little brown mouse?" If you don't know this, then it's about this one very overly confident mouse who decides that he's gonna be the one to trick all the predators into not eating him by making up this animal called the Gruffalo. When lo and behold, he finds out later on, don't want to spoil it for you, but the Gruffalo's real. And throughout the entire thing, this mouse is boasting, "Oh no, I'm about to go meet my friend, the Gruffalo, and he really likes to eat fox, so Mr. Fox, you can't eat me. The Gruffalo's gonna eat you instead. Favorite food is roasted fox." Have your students go ahead. Can they analyze those rhythms just by listening to favorite food is roasted fox? But like I said, this is all about triplets, so give your students an introduction to a triplet and go over some of those things that describe the Gruffalo. Nabali, knees, turned out, toes, poisonous, wart at the end of his nose. That will also come back later because we're gonna put it in the song. Gruffalo, Gruffalo, oh no, oh no, no. Do the same thing with purple prickles all over his back. And did I mention that the Gruffalo also comes with a digital worksheet that, again, your students can only touch what you want them to touch, or the printable worksheets at the end. Now, a bunch of different things happen in this. You're gonna walk your students through triplets. You're gonna have them analyzing the rhythms for triplets. You're gonna have them dragging to where they hear the triplets in the song, putting it all together at the end by seeing the triplets, singing the triplets, maybe moving to the triplets as well, but might as well now get an actual movement break, because at the end, this poor little mouse realizes that the Gruffalo is real, and he's getting closer. Each rhythm that you see, they have to complete a movement. If they see a half note, they gotta duck low. Quarter note, they gotta jump. Eighth notes, they gotta do jumping jacks. And the triplets, they're gonna run in place. So now here that is. He has, they already jumped twice. Jump, jump, run, 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 jump. Run, 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 jump. Maybe they're saying it, but each time you complete one of the chants, notice what happens. The Gruffalo gets closer and closer. And it's so fun. It's so engaging. This will have your students, even though they're standing, at the end of their seat. So there you have it. You can sign up for my free month of my Soaring Scarves Academy membership, where you have not only my entire curriculum, all my movement breaks, my professional development, 3 new lessons every single month. These are my 3 new ones for my October people. So if you're one of my October people, these are your 3 lessons that are waiting for you in your member portal right now. So go ahead, try it out for yourself. Try these 3 amazing lessons. Again, those stories were One Dark Night, Creepy Carrots, and the Gruffalo. They're so fun. They're so engaging. They're such a great way to make any time of the year a wonderful time to celebrate. As always, make sure you are liking, subscribing, following along, and make sure you check out all of my different movement breaks. Are a lot of them Halloween themed right now? Yes, but not all of them. I have a lot of autumnal vibes there as well. So go ahead, check them out. Let me know if you are one of my members or you're just joining right now. I am starting to plan my November lessons. Go ahead, comment below. Is there something that you need in your classroom? Some rhythms that you are going over, some solfege, some pitches, something about the fundamentals of music. What do you need a lesson plan for? Let me know in the comments below. I hope that this was helpful, and I wish you all a wonderful October. Happy playing.